Welcome everybody. There's Architect, Felix, Haley, Secret Spice, Tivo, and Kayo. Welcome. I did make some sheets. They're pretty concise, but I'll share screen anyway. Should be somewhere out there. Now, if it would go to slideshow mode, that would be amazing. There we are. Yeah, it's a pretty standard template by now, I feel like. Yeah, just to start off, got some updates going on the work groups. And then some updates on the tasks and rewards. And I do think it would be nice to have a little bit of a feedback session on what we've been doing so far, and yeah, how everybody feels about that, basically. Feedback. So that was what I got for agenda-wise. Is there any other topics which should be on there? And if not, I'll just go ahead and move on to the workgroups update. Yeah, on the incubation and structure group, so far nobody came up with a better name, which saddens me a little, but we couldn't just call it the incubation / structure group. It's all good. We had earlier today a little session on dework, and it's getting filled up decently. Yeah, I can walk over it now, but yeah, let's skip that. Gitbook actually approved our request for a community plan, so yeah, that's great. We now have a free account for being a non-profit organization, and that should also make the link work, which I did not even properly check, I now realize, but I think I can do that right away. Okay, it's not working as proper as I was hoping for. I'll not dive into this right now. Let's see. Yeah, on the community podcast, I was not able to attend last Friday, so I cannot give any update myself there. Perhaps somebody else can provide an update on that. I guess that would be Julian or Architect or...
Julian, shoot.
So I believe Tivo, you did the actual podcast group meeting yourself, right? With I think it was Lane.
Yep, quite possible. I'm just opening up the notes about what was done last session.
I mean, yeah, I've done work on everything, but I didn't attend the actual community podcast meeting, but I've been doing work on the side, which has been posted in, and done work with Architect and stuff like that, which I can add in. But I don't know if you want to start, Tivo, with what you guys started with.
Yeah, so since it got opened up, on the meeting itself, aside the async activities, and there was also discussion about how could we take this working group to dework to start like assigning the task or kind of make that structure look now more decentralized, that different parts of people can take up, incorporated with the ambassador working group too, because there is the goal to kind of set up dework and processes and guides. So already unifying some lessons learned from there. But main things what come out of that were some action steps for mainly Peter or whoever is in charge of the Discord server to do some changes in order to move from like a different server, because at the start we thought, okay, we need a different dework account and server for the podcast group, but now when having more experience like using the same server and just splitting all different working groups into different projects under same dework, it adds more like inclusiveness in a sense that people are able to see each other work and they don't have to juggle different Discord servers in order to participate actions or find the contributors. And this will also help in future that if we have like 4 or 5 teams now doing different work from different perspectives, we could aggregate it all into one contribution list instead of trying to, I don't know, use CSV files or anything to make the aggregation list. So it adds a bit of efficiency in collaboration and inclusiveness compared to everybody starts with their own tech stack separately and trying to onboard people on moving out from SingularityNet Discord, which is not the goal.
Yeah, I've got a small question on that. I did do these tasks, but I did not make a separate dework channel for like only the tasks from the podcast board, because I feel it's fine to have just one big collection of all the dework stuff, but I'm not sure if that's fine. If you prefer, I can make a separate account, of course.
It is fine for now, but in Swarm, there are situations where like it's pinging every few minutes, and then if person who is not really interested about podcast activities and like every time a participant joins or leaves or whatever, it updates Deworks, they have the opportunity that if they don't not have the podcast role, they don't get that feed. They only get the announcements or what next. So all the details will kind of be bypassed, and that kind of keeps the participants like sane in a sense that it's not always updating every single thing, which is maybe he's not interested about. Yeah, and if he is interested about, he can ask about, hey, can I get that role to get that detail? And then if he gets that information and then finds out that, okay, I don't actually want that keyword, then he has the option to mute that channel.
Yeah, very fair. I guess for now, since it's also very much in a startup phase, it wouldn't hurt to have a lot of people see these notifications. But yeah, it makes sense to split it out once it gets too much. Not sure how to monitor that, but it feels like that would be fine by waiting for that to once it becomes a lot of pings, just to separate it. All right. Is there going to be a work session on the podcast before Friday? Is there any plans on that?
We had talked about it, but we don't have anything rock solid in place. I mean, I'm open to it. It just depends, I guess, on timing with everybody else. What the other people that would want to show up, what times would work, which we can discuss now, or either way.
Yeah, it would be fine by me to pick a time slot. I guess involved people are around.
I think Thursday is a good day for me. I don't know if any times would work Thursday for anybody.
Evening for me is completely blocked with meetings.
Okay.
Afternoon would be perfectly fine.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like that would work for me too. Any specific time work better in the afternoon or midday? for you?
No, middle of the day, I've got 4 hours of which I can
Okay.
fill out the way I like. So
Okay. So I believe you're 6, if I can get this right. I think you guys are 6 UTC. Are you UTC, Peter?
I'm UTP +2.
Okay.
Maybe this discussion also could be done in as a like this when to meet link that everybody just puts their time in instead of trying to figure out it here right now.
Fair, yeah, perfectly fine to me. That's makes sense.
Yep.
All right, and then Friday 16 UTC, there's the check-in meeting still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Good stuff. Let's see. Last week we also discussed about a task management work group that did not quite. I mean, it's overlapping a bit with the incubation group, since part of that is also managing the task and setting up everything for that. Yeah, I now see here I put there set a work session slot, but I guess same goes there. Like this pick a date kind of link would be the better fix for that.
Regarding pick a date when we want to have discussions in the deep funding community governance channel, there is another call out for governance discussions and the way we could improve deep funding.
Absolutely, yes.
So if this when to meet post is up, then I know we might need another one.
Yep. Yeah, regarding that, there's next week on the 21st there will be a session with about half of the awarded projects, where they can present themselves a little, and then there will also be after that an AMA session. So it's gonna be busy, but in a good way. All right. Yeah, and this what I put there, the additional roles need further defining. We worked on this a bit earlier today, but that further defining still needs to happen. It's gonna be a lot of dead picking links coming up in the chat, I feel. I think that kind of covers it. Does anybody have anything to add on the work groups update?
If we don't stick to only to the podcast stuff regarding the dework outside of the podcast stuff, I would say that we had several working sessions to kind of think of the next steps and processes we need to do. And today, actually, Julian touched a nice point that we should poll people, because we are having these working groups so suddenly in some sense, and then it's also confusing that we didn't really decide. Okay, we have a weekly meeting, but we end up meeting weekly, and some people might not feel that it's a good time to join, but they're interested, or we don't even actually know are they interested. So everything we kind of do in a working group session, trying to use the last 10 minutes of that session to encapsulate like the main key or a thing we realized, and then turn it into a poll, and that experiment is now running on Ambassador's channel, where we took the latest working group, which happened today, regarding what dework task-related processes we want to visualize on board, and so that we have something visual to look. And then people can basically vote on the suggestions or start the discussion regarding like, what else we should be looking at, or what is even more priority than this. And then, because we kind of need to start focusing on the specific things, because we are a few people here, and the polling kind of gives that opportunity to outsource kind of the thinking and the bigger vision in what order things should be done, considering the amount of resources and time we have. So if that's successful, there will be more polling thing on the Discord side.
Yeah, so far there's... Let me actually check. I'm not sure how much responses it got.
But there's the dework process, like call to action is still very much in place. So whoever feels like, oh, visual processes, we kind of need them. I know what we should do or how to do it, or like, because it's not just about making that specific process, but it's all about creating the framework on top of which we could create these processes effectively. And we also planning to do it kind of cross-network, in a sense that this dework is an emerging thing from different networks, and that's why also we kind of suggested, hey, let's try it out for the SingularityNet, because we use it in the Catalyst network, and under the other groups are doing that, and working groups also there are forming, which are interested to kind of have more knowledge how to use that dework tool and how to use it effectively. So I see an opportunity to kind of cross-collaborate and find few people here, find people in other sections, and finally we kind of have like a 10 to 20 people group who are able to kind of do their own direction where they want to do this dework, but in the same sense still come together at some specific time reps to aggregate and build the framework behind how could we effectively use it. And it kind of removes the fact that we have to reinvent the wheel, because interesting things are that some things what were suggested even today, Peter said, oh, we have this community suggestion tool in dework that we could capture people's tasks, and that kind of guiding and processes are actually done, so we could now take it back to here. And from another side, last week we created this task example, how to write the tasks for ambassador program, that is now looked at in a different group, like that's actually a good guide, we could incorporate it. So these kinds of situations are nice to have, that kind of share knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. They're fully on board with not reinventing the wheel multiple times.
There was also a couple of things I wanted to add about the community podcast, which some of you may have seen and some of you may have not. But so we want to start getting some of the video feed that for when I do the interviews with people, and other people are encouraged to do video work too, and interview whatever people want to do is great. But at this point, there's a couple of us that have said that we were interested. So if I'm doing the interviewing, I need to actually check to see if the levels that I use and everything is working right. So I put up, I'd written out a couple of like a mission statement for the podcast and a kind of a little speech about the ambassador program. So I put those up. Those are in the community podcast Discord, right near the ambassador channel. You'll see it there. So there's a couple of those where it's just me talking to the camera. Very kind of robotic, no pun intended. But I'm basically tweaking how I want to do this. I'd written this stuff out and I was trying to use the teleprompter app next to my webcam, like with a gooseneck tie, like hanging over, and so it didn't really work the way I wanted to. But I wanted to get it out there so we could get some feedback on, you know, how the sound is, how video looks. So you guys, if you're interested, are encouraged to go give any feedback there. Just be brutally honest, because that's what we need. And then on top of that, Architect and myself did a couple of beta interviews where we just used, I was using OBS and had not the greatest background in the world. That's not really what I would use if we're going to actually be doing the interviews, but something in the background and trying to figure out how to frame both people. I'd love some feedback on that kind of stuff. We tested out. He had 4 different microphone options. He had a headset. He used just like his, you know, normal headphones that came with his phone. He used just the phone himself, and then he used like kind of an average ish microphone. So we had 4 different types, and it's over the course of 2 separate videos. So if anybody wants to comment on that as far as anything whatsoever, that was just some beta tests that we did. I also reached out to a couple of people from the beginning and throughout the process that had mentioned they may want to help with video editing or that sort of stuff. Pork197 and Belakuzi. Obviously, I haven't forgotten about TiVo's friend that potentially wants to help. I just wanted to stick it. I figured TiVo would see it, and if he wanted to talk to his friend about it, great. But I know these other people are in the community, and I reached out to them. I haven't heard back yet, but anybody else, if we're gonna probably need some help with video editing at some point, or just some expertise when it comes to level choices with the microphones, and any kind of tips would be great on that. I think of anything else that I wanted to say on all this. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, it'll just depend on how many people we have helping. It'll determine how, you know, how many episodes we can do, how fast we can do the episodes. So obviously I don't want anyone collaborating if they don't want to, but I would only want people that are actually excited about it. But it would help to have extra help. So if anybody is interested at all, you know, I have a normal job. Like, I can't just spend all day doing this stuff. Like, I can spend a good, you know, I can dedicate a lot of my free time to it, which I'm fine with doing, but I just wanted to throw that out there. That's something I noticed. It's starting slow, but we do have a few people, so that's good. I'm focused on the positive there, but I want to let the community know that we're always open to having, you know, more collaboration there. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. And also welcome to another couple of joiners, PG and Tera and Daniel. Yeah, that's very clear. I don't have any audio expertise, but I can ask Rainer to check out the levels a bit. And Jennifer, who joined, is not here right now. She joined the previous session also. She's got broadcasting experience, so for sure she can check. Yeah, we should be able to give some pointers on levels.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, honestly, any sort of feedback whatsoever, even if you don't think it's helpful or just something minor that's obvious to you, I encourage it, because I could use all the help I could get at this point.
Yeah. Okay. All right, move to the next. Yeah, on the slides, or on the tasks.
I know, but it doesn't work. It has no internet.
If you don't mind, Tara, I'm gonna mute you for a bit. Yeah, so on the tasks, translations and also the verifications are coming in. I did not have the pipeline set up still for where to push these translations when they are finalized and well, just made and verified. I think so far, my best idea for that is to host them on the Discourse forum and then link from the blog posts to the forum. It's not the most elegant, but it's functional. And if anybody has better suggestions for making that work, that's welcome. Let's see. Yeah, for the Rejuve beta, there's a bit of unclarity whether we should get people NDAs or not. So that's why you, Julian, and also Crandano, which is not here right now, but yeah, why I haven't follow up on that. I hope to get that resolved coming 2 days. Should be doable. But basically, yeah, because it's not public yet. I mean, yeah, that brings this unclarity on whether it's required to have NDAs signed for that, which I don't know. To me, feels a little bit weird in a way, because well, the whole task is like check out the beta and write an article about it, and then that doesn't fit NDA settings so much.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy to do it either way. I don't care. Whatever works.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Absolutely.
I see what you're saying. You know, I'm not close enough to it to really know that I could kind of see both sides to it. I could see why they're nervous about people leaking stuff or ahead of time or.
Yeah, but I don't know. If you're supposed to write about the app, you know, then
yeah, it's like they want to keep it in a confined box of like, you tell us basically what you think. We don't want it getting out to anyone else what you think yet.
Yeah, maybe that could be a solution to have it written and just not quite yet published, perhaps something like that.
I think we're getting pretty close to the wider launch, so it's probably not as big of a thing, but we should clarify it with Rejuve just to make sure there's no issues.
Yep.
Just to kind of clear this up too, because I'm having some not clarified as to whether the short submission thing that's still up, but we're not doing that anymore, right? Because I keep seeing it in dework, and I've been like for the last couple weeks, like I remember back like meetings ago, you guys were kind of talking about, and then obviously TiVo, you know, was the only one that did it, and he got everything, and that's all good, but I still see it sitting there. So I was just wondering, is that over with or?
Fair point. Well, I guess by now we should at least change it, because the next one, the month later version of that same meeting is about to get released.
Okay, that works. Yeah.
So that could be good. Perhaps we can think a little about how to, because we only got these 3 submissions, so that was not the best setup perhaps of the task itself. Maybe we can change it a little so that make it perhaps more concrete, ask for more better describe what we're looking for. I mean, I was kind of hoping, I kept it very open intentionally, because I was like, well, yeah, I don't know, maybe some people want to make something funny out of it, something, maybe somebody wants to focus only on project X. So that's why I didn't quite define it, but I think that also contributed to the low amount of submissions. So yeah, that needs a proper check. But yeah, you're completely right on it still being on dework.
Yep. I did go ahead and assign to it. So if you want to end that one, just know I'm assigned there, but you can take me off or do whatever. But if you do decide to keep that going or start another one, just let me know so that if you know I'm not doing it, it's just because I'm assuming now you're figuring out what you want to do.
Yeah, true.
Because it's just I'm claimed there right now. Like that, if you look in there, it's like a claim task under me.
Yeah, check. Well, if anybody here has suggestions how to make it a better task, which will get more results, feel free to share insights there. And can also be on chat later.
I was just a little intimidated by, I've done a couple of shorts, but I'm not experienced with it. So I was just a little bit kind of unsure of how, I think you guys had an example submission on there, it looked like, and it seemed more simple than I was expecting what you guys wanted. Maybe I don't know what, I thought I saw that you guys gave an example. I was like, oh, well, I thought you were gonna expect like way more like lettering, and obviously you're open to whatever, but you see the certain shorts are like way more sophisticated than others. So that was kind of one of the things that was worrying me, or kind of gave me some misgivings about jumping in right away.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean that relates to the unclarity of the task, I guess, because yeah, you can go completely crazy and make it like a full-on shiny production, even though it's a short of like a minute. Or it can be, yeah, a simple, concise cutting of one of the contributions, and that's it. Which I think the submissions by Tifa were more like that. Which, yeah, I don't know, that's connected to this yeah, task unclarity. Yeah, I just realized, like, I don't know, an hour ago, I did not actually create a task for this writing of a one-pager on this Swarm session of, well, by now it's 2 weeks ago already. So I did just add that to dework, except I found myself in the situation where I could not find the link for the recording, which I do know should be somewhere out there. So I was kind of hoping if perhaps Felix or Tivo could, after this meeting, send me that link so I can make the task properly reflect. Yeah.
We have Swarm session every week. So you mean the 2 weeks ago session?
Yes, the one on SingularityNet on Deep Engine. I did try to look around, but no luck. So
Don't worry. We can move on. I will add that link to the task.
yeah, cool. Then let's see the. Yeah, the open pool for graphic and creative work is still very much open. I kind of feel that also needs a bit better description because yeah, so far nobody reached out for that, so I think that's again the same issue with the clarity of the descriptions. Then let's see, translations in the forum will be this week, and then the outstanding payments for that we'll make an in-between payment instead of waiting for the last of the month. And I think next week we should also have a bit of a check-in on so far what we did and recap a little bit on yeah, how many tokens went where, basically, for the first month. And yeah, in general, still an open call out for tasks. If anybody popped up with some ideas, feel free to share them.
One thing that I did notice earlier today, or something I've been thinking about, and I'm not sure if this would be something for the ambassador program or somebody maybe within, and make more sense for somebody within that's hired that works for SingularityNet directly, but the YouTube comments, I thought that could be, I know I had mentioned this before, but trying to get more activity on the YouTube comments, you know, actually responding, liking, you know, having somebody who, you know, who actually is in the know or is someone trusted that can respond to these things, because I think it's important. I think engagement, that like just a piece of constructive criticism, like I've noticed that, like just as someone who would comment, like I wouldn't, you know what I mean, I just wouldn't get response, like, and you don't need it, but it is something like I think can make a big difference. When, I mean, I've never built a giant community, but I do, you know, talk about, or like I'm interested in this stuff, and I've done a lot of work like researching, like, you know, you have like your Gary V's and stuff like that, people who like build giant communities. It's like that interactivity with the community I think is really important. So that could be kind of a cool idea, but like I said, it may make more sense to have somebody directly hired by Singularity rather than someone in the ambassador program doing something like that.
Yeah, great suggestion. I love that. Upping that engagement with the YouTube folks. We really want to put a lot of more focus on the YouTube in general, which is, you know, some of what we're seeing in the ambassador program, because it's such a great space to have a conversation with folks. And you're absolutely right. Having the comment section there and having somebody regularly engaged in conversation there is something to follow up on, to have that conversation. So definitely ambassadors are invited to engage in conversation there, and it's an area that in marketing we should, you know, put some focus on. I love that idea. Thanks.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, and that works with Twitter, you know, Instagram, like all those communities, they're all important. You know, TikTok is huge. But yeah, engaging. I know I'm big on YouTube personally, and engaging a lot with the communities that I love, and it's so few and far between that people actually will respond. Like, you know, everyone is asking for comments, everyone wants you to hit the like button, it's all about me, but like you go through the comments and like it's like you wanted us to all ask these questions, and then you're not even you're not responding to anything, and it's just, there's so few people that actually get back that when it happens, it's like, it's huge. And I mean, it means everything to people, to me at least, and I see it in other people. It just makes you seem like you care more. Not that people don't, but it's I think it makes a huge difference with a community. That's just my feeling on it.
Back and forth, absolutely. As you say, as I said, conversation, right? Not just a one way, but two way, and really being together in this.
All right. That's it for this sheet. This would actually already be the last sheet. There's quite a big portion on there, which I do want to ask. Well, pretty much anybody who cares to share some feedback. In the broadest sense of the word, looking back, I think the first town hall meeting was a month ago-ish. I'm not sure if it was exactly this date, but yeah, close enough. So I was wondering, like, are there any things, broadly speaking, which are completely different than you were expecting, or both in good and bad ways, I guess? I didn't prepare this too well as in asking complete focused questions, but still, yeah, would like to hear what people feel so far after 1 month of running the ambassador program.
Maybe I can talk. Theo, shoot.
A lot of work is emerging, and not enough participants, I would say. That's my first impression. But that's a great thing, because this means that because these tasks do not come out of nowhere. It comes from discussions, and people are discussing and trying to find the priority and making the best of their time. So I would say that's a pretty good start for this ambassador program.
Thank you. Architect?
Yeah, I just want to say that I have no expectation at all. That's the wonderful thing with this. It's an experimental. It's a sandbox. But it's very interesting to see kind of how who should I say how the contribution get around. Just that it's so fluid. It's a lot of people that want to do stuff together, and people get added, and people get out and coming back, and some people stay around and focus, and it's such a dynamic. So that's very interesting to see, and we still see what's happening. And I don't know if this was much of a creative feedback, but I just want to give some reflections. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Reflections are welcome, absolutely. Would anybody have some further questions or ideas or thoughts, generally speaking, not needing to be feedback per se so much?
I thought I would just say that from just sort of listening and sort of following along, I think all of you guys are doing a great job. For me, I've mostly been sort of listening and trying to sort of follow the flow. And I mean, for me, if I spoke any of the languages regarding translations, I would have picked up some of that, but unfortunately I'm not fluent in any of those languages, but and also schedules and stuff like that. But for me at this point, I'm just sort of trying to stick around and see if anything shows up where I could participate, and I'll try to sort of be more active as well. But I mean, so far I feel like what more could you expect from approach like this? I feel just conversations are great to listen in on.
Awesome, thank you. That does make me wonder what kind of tasks you would feel like, oh, this is a nice fit for me, I could apply for this.
That's a good question. I mean, I have like a background in psychology and environmental sciences, so it's like not really in this tech space, and I mean, down the road perhaps, but yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Eric, let's catch up. I come from psychology background too.
Same here.
What most excites you about SingularityNet? What drew you to this community? What keeps you excited and interested?
Well, I mean, it's the decentralized part, and I mean the whole project with all the spin-offs and all the, I guess, the people as well. It's the core community seems very aligned on principles and philosophy, and just yeah, that whole.
Awesome.
I think actually your sorry.
Go on. No.
I think actually your philosophy background actually can be used for any kind of activity at task, because especially for the onboarding stuff and processing or what working groups are up, because we kind of need to know the psychology of a person who now sees this page in front of them, because we are still in this page-based system somewhat. So how to make it attractive, how to make it understand and clear, and also like the vision, and also by doing these tasks or contribution or participation to kind of click it with their vision or passion or what they're pursuing. So bringing out all of these elements in any of the flows in this pilot process of basically everything we set up, it's kind of important to have your opinion.
I will I will write down some thoughts, and we can talk about it next week or something, perhaps. But also another thought I had that came up, I remember it now, but that was just for my own sake. So I'm here in Norway, and when it comes to, because I've been going through this whole, the tax season and everything, and when it comes to the rewards for participating here, I've been thinking about how that would sort of end up looking, down the line, depending on sort of how involved one would get. I just know that here in Norway they're sort of having a very it's not very developed, you could say, the tax system around crypto.
Well, if you want to contribute without rewards, we won't punish you for it. No, I know the tax thing on crypto can be very, very awkward and weird, and I hope that doesn't become a stopping point for anyone. But yeah, I would definitely say that part of the ambassador program, one of the big goals is just, I mean, we're all here because we want this beneficial singularity to happen, and we want it to be decentralized. We want everyone to own it, and part of the ambassador program is just giving everybody the opportunity to contribute to that, and to compensate people for that their time and their effort and their energy and their participation, and make sure that they're fairly rewarded and compensated, but mostly to give everybody an opportunity to participate in bringing that about. So, we've started with some tasks that look obvious or easy to us, but if you can think of anything that you would like to do, or you think others might enjoy, or might be a big way to bring people into this space to be able to contribute, I mean, that's huge. What more creative ways can we reach out to broader segments? Not necessarily translators, not necessarily marketing, not necessarily videos, but what other things can we be doing in the ecosystem that really bring value and bring awareness and allow everybody to be a part of this? It's a huge piece of this. So you have incredibly valuable input right there, because you don't fit the current categories, and we'd like to make sure that there's a space for everybody to express their passion here. So yeah, cool. Thanks for speaking up.
It makes me think too, I mean, hearing Eric talk, maybe we should have a page somewhere where people can list their skills. And Eric was saying this is what my professional skills are, but I think we can even go more outside the box and like what people's passions are, because there's probably things that we could do outside of a specific. I think people have more skills associated with passions that they don't really associate with, okay, this is a skill I have. It's like they're unknown skills even to themselves. But I think maybe having a page where people could put skills, not only skills but passions, and having like this page where, like I was saying with the community podcast, we needed some help with video and audio, and things like that, where in a situation like that, we could go to a page and actually see maybe there's someone right there that has the specific skill we're looking for, and it would facilitate that engagement between people in an easier way. I think that could be good.
That sounds cool. That would be it would be nice to browse around. I mean, currently there's the sign up form which does ask for skills. I'm not sure if I mentioned passions in there so much, but that might be even more valuable.
For sure. And I mean, that's great for you guys too. But then even once we're in the ambassador program, Discord and stuff, like having the community all have access to those things too would be kind of cool too. Because we don't know, everyone else's skills going in until we start communicating. But anyone that would feel comfortable doing that, I guess, obviously.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it mandatory to list your passions. Like, that doesn't work that way. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Makes me wonder what the best way of doing that would be. I mean, yeah, Google Form feels a bit meh.
I think having it somewhere accessible where people are that you can just click onto, like, something, making it accessible for everybody where people are, making the ease of access as, like I said, as easy as possible. I don't know if we could do it as a channel in Discord where maybe that would be too all over the place as far as, maybe you want to have it more concise somewhere else.
Oh, it would be so cool if you can just, if it worked like tags and you can simply click on it on I don't know, football, and then you see everybody interested. That would be the best. I mean, scrolling through an introduction kind of channel might work, but if you would be able to filter on it, that would,
Yeah, the filtering, that sounds good.
Technically, I guess Google Form can do that.
Do you think there may be a hurdle for people to add themselves to a certain skill because they think they're not good enough?
Oh, definitely.
So maybe from a psychological view, you can, instead of asking people, what are you really good at? You could ask them, for instance, of these kind of tasks, can you put them in an order in which you would prefer most to do them? Or which would be the best fit for you?
Yeah, but then you're already providing structure a little bit, or quite a bit.
Sorry?
Well, then you are already providing quite a bit of structure.
Yeah.
If you put in categories, then I don't know, my juggling hobby or whatever would never come up there.
Mm-hmm.
Not that's relevant per se, but
well, what I was thinking is you could just have it be more open and have it be interests, something like a more broad word where there's no delegation of specific amount of skill, but just this is what I'm interested in. This is, maybe something more broad would make it more accessible. People would jump in. I totally agree though, Jan, with that, with the wording. I think is important, because that reminds me of talking about the short submissions, worrying that the expectation was to have a higher quality thing that I was video than I was capable of making or having time making. But that's a perfect example of where the expectation was high, and so it stopped me. So I think, getting the wording down, which Eric, the psychology aspect, when we're wording things out that we're putting out to the community, I think psychology is a big step in that, of how do we word this in a way that's not going to alienate people and allow people to come in the best way.
I think, or at least just from my opinion, the ambassador program so far has been very, very open. It's been very, approachable. I would say,
Yeah, I think it's also normal growing pain. You have to start small, and it will take a while until it grows, and then when more people are in, then more people get interested, and then more conversations are starting to go on, and so probably also it will just need a little bit of time and persistence.
Regarding that situation, should or when at point like we're basically doing retrospective here. So with this retrospective, should we kind of version the meeting notes Mariport too, because it's slowly growing and growing it gives an interesting like a visual in a sense, if Peter can show that how the discussions are evolving, how it expands, and what people join if they like watch videos. But it also adds that overwhelming thing that that was so much going on already. In order to catch up with that, I have to spend so much time. So this is another blocker. But what I noticed when doing versionings for these kinds of Miro boards and these kinds of resource allocations, it is and like doing like one pagers, basically like, okay, this is what happened previously, and you can read it through in like 1 or 2 minutes, and this is where we are at. So people kind of feel like they are at the presses. I don't know how to press that edge, basically.
Precipice.
Yes, thank you. Or there are no thoughts on that, and we can just keep on going with that, and that seems to be interesting thing to look at all at once. Or no thoughts at all, because you didn't even know there is somebody taking meeting notes.
Might be possible. No, I think versioning would be very interesting. I'm not sure if there's much changes happening to older meetings once stuff gets updated. Like when the actual situation updates. Because that would then be in the notes of the next meeting, not so much the previous one. Or do you update stuff like that? Maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, I don't really add stuff to the previous slides unless it's related to that. So I update the videos when it comes out, and I add some more links maybe, which I kind of forgot. But I realized, that actually started there. Other than that, it just is a data source. So I definitely like to come into this. I'm like, oh, damn, I can go into anything and find my way to the topics and discussions, and maybe we bring something from old. But for many, it also could be overwhelming.
All right. Maybe not to put you on the spot, but maybe one of the people I recognize as active translators could chime in what their experience is so far. I think both Kayo and Sugar and Spice have translated out of the current people here. Might just be lurking. And also, I guess I can at least fill in the last or the latter part of the whole experience, since so far no payments have been done for the translation, which will change next week. But I'm not sure if they're actively here. Looking at the clock, we're not that far over, but yeah, might be good to wrap it up somewhat close to the scheduled end time. Do a quick check if somebody has anything to add for now. And if not, yeah, I guess the first thing I'll bother you guys with is some meeting links for determining when both dework and where's this list? for the podcast session as well, and perhaps for the task management session. A bunch of links coming in to indicate availability. With that, would like to thank you all for attending, and hope to see you next week.